Look at your own thoughts as just noises, and soon you will find that the so-called outside world and the so-called inside world come together. They are a happening. Your thoughts are a happening, just like the sounds going on outside. And all you're doing is watching it. On the one hand, I am doing it, and on the other hand, it is happening to me.
Yo! What's up, gang? How's it going tonight? I hope you all had an amazing weekend. I didn't have a stream on the weekend, but I did promise that we're gonna do a Q&A type of free-form stream, and this is that one. So you guys can ask anything you want in regards to music, hopefully. And I'm gonna be answering to the best of my abilities, everything that I know, everything that I've gathered over the past 11 years now, I will be sharing with you. So just make sure that you read the caption. I'm gonna try to repeat these as much as possible, but honestly, no questions is embarrassing or stupid. Just depending on the level that you are right now in your life, in your music career, you might have something that might be super easy to somebody else, but very important to you. So whatever it is that you think I can help you or the chat can help you, tonight would be the night to ask it, at least from me. How many sound guitars are on the master? As many as humanly possible. I would go as far as adding parallel sound guitars, by the way, on the buses. How you doing, Spider? Welcome, man. Cosmin, I see you on the other side. I hope you guys are having a great night and you enjoyed your weekend. As you can see, the screen is down here. I didn't open like a full-on project. It's an empty project, so depending on the question you ask, we can navigate through and talk about that. Sometimes we may need to open something, and sometimes I can just show it to you on an empty project. You only use stock plugins and VSTs? Well, that's not a huge problem. Like, if you think you are getting it done and you're happy with the quality of your work with stock plugins, I don't think necessarily that's like a deal breaker. But there is like so much out there that you probably won't find with stock plugins. You obviously find the basics, the EQs, the compressors, distortion and clipping. Those are the basics, but there are some sort of plugins that will just take your shit to the next level, and we're gonna talk about some of those in this stream. Welcome, Asal and Merck. I see you on that side. Okay, let me see. I still use your routing template. Would you mind sending me your updated one? My updated one actually has only one thing different. It has the NLS bus. I still haven't made a video about this, but if you guys are familiar with Jason Joshua, who's a very in-demand mixing engineer for the past decades or so, he uses a technique for his drum bus called the NLS bus, NLS by Waves. This is the plugin, and he kind of he found a specific way of putting the first one on mic, the second one on spike, and basically I just recreated that, which is originally made in Pro Tools and in his template in FL Studio. And sometimes when I want to, I just route my drums before going to the drum bus. I route it to the NLS bus, and then from there, as you can see, it goes into the drum bus. That's it. I don't think like anything else is changed, but yeah, I can share it. I can replace the new one with the old one if you really want to. I said that your track structure was not good, but I didn't say anything about the mix. Well, I don't remember your track, bro, because we probably listened to about 60 pieces of music that night. So if tonight we get a chance to listen to a couple, I'm gonna tell you a bit more about the mix. I gotta teach them about Soundgoodizer. I'm gonna try. All I can tell you is to use the Daddy Soundgoodizer method, guys. First one on D, the second one on A, the third one on D again, and you get Daddy. You repeat that 3 times, and your mixes will be Grammy nominated straight away. That's the ultimate secret. FabFilter takes your mixing to the next level. I use FabFilter plugins literally in every mix. Obviously the EQ, which is the Pro Q3, you all know what this guy does and how good it is. This is on every single mix. I always have the L2 limiter as my final limiter. On my master bus, I use Volcano a lot, which is like a saturation. No, it's not a saturation. It's more like a filter and modulation, but you can saturate with it too. And then you've got Saturn, which is dedicated for multiband saturation. All of them are great. FabFilter plugins are goated. Don't change shit if you don't know how to use it correctly. Oh, you're talking about what was set up there. Alright, so let's kick this off, guys. I think the best way to run this stream, because I have 3 chats in front of me. Well, I forgot about one. Sorry. I can't speak Persian, man. We have about 30 people in total who only understand English, from me at least. I apologize, but I can't speak Persian on this stream. So the best ways to do the stream is for you to drop your questions in the chat, and I'm gonna try to read one by one from any of the 3 platforms and answer it in the best way that I can. But honestly, guys, if the chats are empty, it's both the waste of my time and your time. So I dedicated this couple of hours from 10 p.m. to midnight UK time to you guys to answer your questions and hang out with you. So I need you guys to engage in the chat. And if you are on the YouTube side, press that like button once. It really helps me out. Just hold the screen and tap like, and that will be that. And if we get to 20 likes on YouTube, I will review 2 tracks from the YouTube chat. So you can send it to me, and I will listen and give you feedback directly for your track. Same with TikTok. Just get the stream to 10k likes, and we will do a couple tracks of yours. Okay, let me read what I see. Can you give tips on how to sit vocals better on the beat to track? Yeah, 100%. That's actually a common problem a lot of artists today have, because you guys buy beats off the internet. A lot of the time the beats are mastered. So let me find a project where we had a beat and a vocal that I can just demonstrate the technique. So this is the instrumental, and we got the full acapella. It's not the final mix or anything, but it's good for you to understand the technique. It's about 97 BPM. Let me check. This is the beat. Okay, the beat is fine. Let me drag the acapella and make sure if it's in time.
She said for one night, I wanna be a hoe. Put the seat that we gotta ride real slow. I'm like, oh.
By the way, that's my vocals. Don't judge it. I'm not a rapper. But anyway, so here's a 2-track beat, and let's say this is your lead vocal, even though this is the acapella and has a bunch of layers. But this beat is, as you can see, not quiet. It's not full-on mastered, but it's pretty much up there. It's hitting about -10 LUFS short term, which is not quiet, right? We're gonna send this to a mixer track of its own. We're gonna call it beat, and we're gonna send the acapella to another mixer track and call it Vox. So 7 and 8. The first, like, apart from everything that you need to do to get your vocal obviously sounding the way you want it, that's variable for the project. But the technique that I use for 2-track beats and how you can carve some space on top of 2-track beats for your vocal is that you send the sidechain signal from your vocal to the beat channel. I'm holding shift, left click under the beat channel from the vocal channel, and you get a sidechain signal like this. Then on top of the beat channel, the free way of doing it, FabFilter Pro Q3 is not free, but TDR Nova is. Actually, I can just show it to you on TDR Nova so you guys don't think you have to pay for some shit to do this. TDR Nova is a free EQ, and it has dynamic EQ capabilities. So I'm going to show it to you on this, right? First of all, you want to route your sidechain. Wrench icon, the second tab, processing, right click, and choose your vocal. And then inside the plugin, in this particular plugin, you want to change the internal sidechain to external sidechain because we're routing it through FL Studio. Then you want to grab a band, put it rather wide. I think it was that way wide. Yeah, no, the other way. You just put the mid-range. Obviously, is the most prominent part of the vocal, right? It starts from 12K, 10K, goes down to about 200. That's the vocal living zone in the frequency spectrum. What you do is to make this band dynamic by clicking on threshold. Then you put your attack pretty much on the fastest or towards the fast side, and your release depends. I would also set this towards the fast side, but not the quickest, so it's gonna sound weird. The ratio I keep between 2 to 1 or 4 to 1 or anything in between, again depending on how much of this effect you want. And then if I play the beat and the vocals and mess with the threshold, you will see that every time the vocal sings, this particular band will duck the beat. Wait, the vocal is muted.
She said for one night, I wanna be a hoe. Pull the seat back, we gotta ride real slow. I'm like, oh my, how many shots did she throw? Fuck it, I'ma lean back for the show. Yeah, for one night, she wanna be a hoe.
So you can see that in the most prominent part of the vocals, we're carving space in the beat. Now, this obviously is not ideal. If you have the stems of the beat, there are better ways of carving space and fixing clashing problems. But if you only have a 2-track beat and you don't have any access to how the beat was mixed, the reverbs in the beat, and there is some weird ass things happening that you can't fix, this is a very good way of doing it. I showed it to you on TDR Nova. You can do it with Soothe if you have that. You can do it with FabFilter Pro Q3 or with a dedicated plugin like Track Spacer, which is literally built for this purpose. And you just set your range like this again, and you change the amount, and you get the exact same thing. Okay, I think that should be... Oh, by the way, before I forget, the level of the beat and the level of your vocal in this sort of scenario is critical. Because if your beat comes in mastered, and you just start to make your vocal louder and louder and louder to sit on top of that, rather than trimming down your beat a little bit, so there is headroom, then bringing your vocal onto the project, put it on top, then push them together so you can limit and compress them together on your master bus. That's the best way of going about it. Don't push your vocal like when there is no space. You just push the vocal to sit on top. Well, it can't. Oh shit, we had a lot in the chat. Let me go back and see if I missed any questions. Do we have anything on YouTube? I answered one from TikTok. What do we have on this side? You know what? You need headroom. That depends on the genre. But when do I know my mix is ready for mastering? Here's the thing. As you said, it does depend on the genre how much you want to push, right? But let me bring a very, very loud master that I did a few days ago for you to see. Just look at the state of this, right? But it still has dynamics, and you will hear it. This was pushed. I want to show it to you without me saying it. So let's put it here. So -7 on still not the loudest part. The loudest part is probably somewhere here. So I know that some parts we just touched on -6, but that's not the important part. The important part is that I still managed to keep my transients even going as loud as that. The problem with a lot of masters I hear, whether you want to push to -10 or to -6 LUFS, you guys just like stick a limiter on your master bus and then push. What needs to happen before you even get to the limiting part, at least the way that I've been doing it and the way that I've learned from the guys who are doing it at higher levels than me, and for higher level clients than me, is that you need to prepare the mix for mastering. So it needs to come in at least minus 3 dB, minus 6 dB minimum. So there is some headroom, but it's not so quiet that we just have to trim the audio up. If it comes in at minus 3, well saturated, your buses are nicely clipped, not too much, but if it's clipped in a way that the limiter during the mastering stage doesn't get hit with 6 dB of reduction every time the kick comes in, right? If I don't clip my bus, if I wouldn't have clipped my buses during my mixing stage, every time the kick would come in, my limiter go 6 dB down in threshold, and you just can hear the pumping. But the most I got for this master on my FabFilter Pro L2 was 3 dB on this and 2 dB on my Ozone maximizer, which is the one before. So the peaks were getting shaved off by the soft clipper on the buses, and I saturated everything on the buses and individual channels before, so it was pretty fucking loud. And then I added my mastering stuff. The second thing I want to say about the whole mastering situation is that you need to have a couple tone shapers to your taste already on your master bus. I mix into my tone shapers, which is my saturation, VSM3, Vertigo, and I mix into the limiter. Not pushing the limiter, but into the limiter. So if I am going to the 0 dB, it will be there to push it down, so I know how it feels and I know how far I am from my ideal position. That's my advice. Let's leave it there because it's going to take hours if we just keep talking about one question. Let me go back up again on the TikTok side and see if we can get any question. Alright, I've read that one. Can you show me how to save a template and how do I export beats for someone else to work on it? Yeah, that's actually pretty simple. We can do it fast. The way to save template, you do everything you want on the template. Like, let's say I've done everything I want, have my tracks, kick in 808 and in the mixer, everything. Then you just click on File and you save as template. It literally says it. So under Save New Version, you have Save as Template. When you have it, when you saved it, you just go to General Settings and down here in the miscellaneous section, you can choose your default template, and then you can choose what happens when you open FL Studio. If you want to go directly onto the default template or open an empty project or whatever else. So that's the template bit. And your second question, which was how to export beats for other, did you say artists or producers? If you want to work with other producers, I recommend that you do Project Bones. So if you come to export, you have Project Bones, and this will send all the samples. It creates a folder with the samples, the plugins, and whatever. And you can zip that and send it to them. And the second technique, if they don't have the plugins that, so the person you're collabing with, for example, doesn't have Serum, but you use Serum in your beat, and you want to send it over in a way for them to be able to change the MIDI data of Serum using the same sound, the best way is direct wave instrument, which I actually made a video about, but to quickly show you. So is this the right Serum? Yeah. I have Serum, and this is the sound, let's say we want to pick. This, you just right click on it, create direct wave instrument, you give it a name, and you pick a place. Then this part, by default, the settings are okay. If not, just make sure the C is C0 to C10, the range of the instruments. Minimum velocity 1 to maximum velocity 127. And then you click Start. If you want the effects on the sound included, check this. If you want the master effects included, check this. Otherwise, leave them checked off. Click Start, and it gives you a direct wave version of that sound, which you can then, which anyone then can open because it's a FL Studio stock plugin. And this way, you can collab with other people. I hope I answered your I understood your question right. But that will be that. I need to keep scrolling up on TikTok, by the way, guys. So Just give me a moment. There is a lot going on in the chat. Any tip for starting to make myself known as a producer to other people? In the shortest way possible. No one knew who I am, what I do, and even if I have a PC with FL Studio on it, until I started showing what I'm capable of on social media. You don't have to make educational content. You don't have to make stupid entertaining content. Do what you're good at. If it's making beats, make sure you find a way to present your beats in an interesting way. I'm not saying, again, reinvent the game. Feel free to do it if you know how to, but you don't have to. That's the best way to present yourself, man. Social media is a free tool for you to show people what you're capable of. And it could be anything. You've seen how people go from 0 to 100 on social media. Okay. Is -8 LUFS loud enough for modern hip-hop? We have different, like, you can get to -8 or you can get to -5 and you still put it beside a well-mixed, well-saturated and mastered track that's -10 and you're going to be quieter. Again, I'm saying this off of experience. I've seen it happen to me. I've heard it happen, actually. I pushed my track, number-wise, it was good, loud, and then it went to Spotify. This is about a couple of years ago. It went to Spotify, and I realized it's not about the number of LUFS that you see. It's about the harmonic information in your mix and then in your master. So you can have a -10 LUFS master that's louder than a -5 poorly saturated and just like empty with a lot of masking problems. So don't focus on that. Focus on comparing. Here's a trick that I use, and I'm going to pass it on so you can also use. If you have Spotify, go to the settings of Spotify, click on your photo settings, and then come down to audio quality. And here, turn normalize volume off, right? When you turn this off, what you hear from any track that you play on Spotify is the version, the mastered version that whoever mastered it, the artist, send it to Spotify. So it's untouched. It's not capped down to -14 or 12 or 10. If you want to put it on that, you turn it on. Loud is, I believe, -10 or 8. Normal is -12 and quiet is -14. But if you turn it off, it's the original master. So this way, when you play your reference track, you don't even care about the number. You play yours, you play theirs in the loudest possible part of the track, and you see if it's hitting as hard or not. If it's hitting as hard, you're good to go. If not, and you want it to hit harder, then you have work to do. That's literally how I approach every single master. And I compare my shit to the highest of the high. So if I'm mixing a rap track, right now, Monaco by Bad Bunny is my first go-to reference. It's huge, it's loud, the vocal, the bass, everything is just like ideal. And you know it's worked, so go to it. If I'm doing psytrance, I go to Astrix every single time. All right, next question. Are there any good free soft clippers? Free soft clippers, yes. Heatwav by Slate Digital is the latest one that I checked out and is free. I'm just trying to find it for you. Oh, I didn't put it in the Slate folder, did I? Wait. Heatwav. There it is. It's very simple to use. It looks like this. You have one drive knob and you have the clip knob. It's basically a combination of a saturator and a soft clipper. If you turn it on, it adds a clipper to the process signal. So you can saturate and soft clip at the same time using this free plugin. I also made a video about this, demoing it on Spins 808. It sounds pretty alright. Okay. Anything else? Cosmin, what are you asking about clipping? Are you kind of like confused about how to use it? If you give me some more info about your questions, I can help you better. By the way, the YouTube chat is super quiet. Do me a favor and do something about that. Everything's happening on the other side. That's not good. That's not a question for me. You master in FL? Yes. I have a habit that a lot of people call it a bad habit. I don't necessarily think it's a great one, but it's working for me at the moment. I got into a habit of cooking the sound of my mix on my master bus early on in my projects, and then because I have the sound going, it gets to a point that when I get to the mastering stage, when I want to push for volume, everything else is cooked. So I just add the second limiter, because I got one already. I add my second limiter, which is the ozone maximizer, right before Pro L2, and I push. Everything else is ready, so I end up mastering in the same project that sometimes I produce and sometimes I mix in that same project. I master in there too. That's not a good habit, especially for weaker systems. It's just gonna kill you. It's gonna kill your PC. It does like if I open my projects, the Psytrance project, the reason I didn't open it is because it would be on 99% CPU right away. And I had to turn off my mastering stuff just for you to be able to see and hear what's going on. But when I'm off stream, I can handle to do it. Can you give tips on stereo imaging when mastering? Here is what I do. I use Ozone 11 Imager. Recently, I've been experimenting with another plugin. I'm going to show you that one too. But this is the method that I know has worked in the past and sounds good if you have Ozone Imager. Start with the modern width preset. The only reason we start with this is because it's going to give you 4 bands in good spots that you can work off of. So your lowest band is 100 Hz and below, which is your bass and sub. You got the other band from 424 to 100. It gives you the low mids up to the start of the mid-range. Then you got the next band, which is literally the mid-range and a little bit of high mids. And then you got the top, which is 6K and above, and that's your top end. Then you got 4 controls to the bottom left of the plugin for each band. When it comes to your 100 and below, definitely you don't want to go above 0 because you don't want to add width to 100 and below. You don't want to add width to your low end for a variety of different reasons. I'm not even going to talk about the vinyl problem and shit like that because most of you are not dealing with that problem. But even for like mono compatibility and your low end translating the best version it can do on smaller systems and mono systems, just don't add width to your master. You can, however, go the other way to kind of make those frequencies more mono. Sometimes 50%, sometimes 20%, or you can just not touch it if you're unsure. But the important part is that you don't want to also add width to your low mids. Low mids is similar to your low end. What you can add width to is high mids and the top end. So again, don't go like this, fucking 100. You do about 7 to 10, 7 to 15 on the third band, which is the mid-range and high mids. And you do 15, max 20 on the top end. And it gives you that little bit wider highs and the reverbs that can get spreaded out. Make sure you don't check stereoize button. That's going to ruin your mix and bring all kind of phasing problems. That needs to be off. And then make sure you bypass and check the difference in headphones, preferably. And you also check your mono compatibility. You just put it on mono and see if you're losing anything important after applying this. And you can also see your phase correlation to the right of this half circle. It says 0, -1, and +1. You want it to be between 0 and +1, usually on +1. Sometimes it comes to 0 and comes back, but you don't want it to go towards the minus side. That means you have some sort of a phasing problem or you're introducing a phasing problem using this plugin. That is how I do. I don't do too much widening, and I don't think you should too. Usually, your widening, your big bold widening moves should happen beforehand on the mix. In master, shit is a lot more subtle usually. The second plugin, quickly before we move on from this subject, that I've been experimenting with, is Space Control. This guy. It's by Acoustica Audio. It's a plugin made by Luca Pertolezzi, who you might have seen. He's a great mixing and mastering engineer, mainly for EDM. It comes with a lot of good presets as starting point, but you have a lot more in-depth knobs and parameters you can touch. Phasing problems you can fix with this. You can blend in how much you want the width spread to be engaged, so you can put it like all the way up, let's say, and then just mix 5%. It's just a bit more detailed of a plugin. Okay, that was that question. Do we have anything on YouTube? You mixing vocals or what? No, I'm answering questions, bro. What do you use as de-esser for harsh vocals? I like two de-essers at the moment. One is Lindell 902 de-esser by Plugin Alliance. This guy. Which is fairly simple to use. You choose your frequency. You choose your range, which is like the threshold on the compressor. And then you can blend in using the mix knob. And I never use the air knob. To be honest, I don't know what it does. Probably adds air, like top-end EQ. The second plugin I like to use is FabFilter Pro DS, but I'm also going to show a third one because I forgot about Pro DS. In Virtual Mix Rack, if you have the Slate Digital All-Access Pass bundle and stuff, there is a emulation of that same Lindell de-esser, the first one I showed you. Here it looks like... Where are you? Wait, it was up here. Transient Shaper. Oh, there we go. It's literally the same thing, just the emulation by Slate Digital. This is nice too, depending on what you have. What do you think of Waves? A lot of great plugins in it. I use bits and bobs from it. Obviously, it's like 500, 600 plugins, but I use certain ones for certain purposes. I like the Mani EQ for tone shaping. I like R-Bass for harmonic sub-generation, or like adding harmonics to my bass and 808s. I like the NLS bus, which I can recreate the Jason Joshua technique with. And I probably am forgetting a lot of solid plugins from Waves, but yeah, I think they have a lot of good ones and a lot of ones that I don't personally use. Ahmed, what's up, bro? Good evening to you too, and welcome. I'm all good. Hope you're doing well too. What do you think about Music Hack Limiter? Haven't used it. I've been setting my ways for a while now with a combination of Ozone Maximizer into FabFilter Pro L2. So this is my almost always the usual setup of limiters for my master. Ozone Maximizer, modern, IRC4 modern, into Pro L2 style transparent. Rarely do I change. Is mixing with pink noise real or myth? It's real in a sense that you can do it. Whether it's something that will be beneficial, to me it's not. But I think if you do struggle as a beginner with understanding the balance, the basics of balancing your instruments with volume and nothing else, that's the technique for that. So that pink noise, you put it on a certain level. Again, I'm not an expert in it because I never adapted to it myself. I don't like it. But you set the pink noise, I think, on -3 or something. And then you just bring your instruments one by one up until you hear them just barely over the pink noise. And that should give you a good starting point for the overall balance of your mix. You can do it. It's real, but try it. See if it works for you. Please take us through your compression and instruments. Wait, for that I need to open a project. Let me see if I can answer a couple questions before doing that, and then we can move on to opening a project and see what we have inside that. Did I miss something? If I miss something in the chat, guys, because it's going quite fast on TikTok, just say it again. It jumps for me a little bit. Did you buy it or subscribe? Which one? Waves? Is there a video that you describe a full breakdown on mixing and mastering? A full breakdown? No. And I don't think any videos that says... Oh, actually, breakdown of a session, sure. But the reason I never made a video just saying, oh, this is how you mix, is because it's never the same. It's literally never the same. No two pieces of music, no two genres or subgenres or artists is never the same. Even when I make it myself, it's different. So no, to answer your questions, I don't have a full video on breaking down a mix. It is a good idea, and I will think about maybe doing something like that. Guys, if you want me to listen to tracks, because this live is not a music review, I just set like a way for you to do that. If YouTube reaches 20 likes, I review 2 tracks on YouTube chat, from the YouTube chat. And then if TikTok reaches 10k likes, I review 2 from the TikTok chat. So double tap the screen if you want that to happen tonight. Let me read. Yo, Scap Beats, what's up, bro? I'm all good. How are you? Any suggestions for beginners in arrangement? Wait, it's hiding your chat. Any suggestions in arrangement of a track? Yeah, but you need to tell me what genre or subgenre you're working on, because obviously the arrangement of an EDM house track is not going to be the same or similar even to a hip-hop track or a trap track. What do you do? And I can share my experience, or the chat, if anybody makes that type of music and I don't, they can give you some suggestions. Welcome back, Spider. Okay, let me think of a project to open so we can discuss some of the shit that happens on the project. I will definitely need to... Are we okay? Can you give like a by yes or no in the chat? Should I open the loud ass psytrance track, or should I open a more of a trap pop type of track with vocals? What do you want to see? If you could choose a project for me to open, or if you want a beat. So just write psytrance, beat, or pop is your 3 options. Because I recently did a track that you probably won't hear with my version. They're gonna release their own version, but because everything was complicated. But I did go ahead and mix it. I heard the first time on the stream, and I mixed it in private, even though I was supposed to do it on the stream. That's the. Let me show you a quick demo of it.
I got nothing left to lose. Broken and torn, but now I choose. Nothing can hurt me anymore. My head is heavy and heart is sore. At least you cannot play me like before. So ready to wait, let's just agree, do what I wanna. Keep it low key, you don't know me, cause I don't need drama.
You get the idea. You guys want this? I'm gonna... so this is one option. The second option, quickly, is the psytrance track. This is the second option, and then if you just want a beat project with no fucking anything else, we can open the latest beat I've done. Let me quickly put this on date modified. I forgot the name of the beat, but I think it's this one. We have a beat like that too. So most of you want option 1. Anyone else? I think we can safely say option 1. All right, let's open that. Meanwhile though, because it's going to take a couple minutes for the project to load, if there is anything you want to say and I can talk to you and answer verbally, I'm all down. Also, want to take classes for making takeout beats? Are you asking if I do classes for takeout beats? I do classes for production, showing you how to go about using the software and the ideas that I have, but I never do a specific thing, because that's where I feel like you limit me and you limit yourself. I jump from orchestra to trap to drill to psytrance to house whenever I feel like it. I never limit myself. So if you want a specific tech house teacher, I'm not it. But if you want someone who knows how to get a track from 0 to 100 plus the mixing and mastering, we can talk about it, and I can definitely help you do that. All right, it actually opened quite fast. What I know is gonna happen is, let's play it, but I know it's gonna... Actually, let me raise the buffer length, so maybe we stand a chance with the mastering stuff. No way. Okay. I need to turn off some of the mastering stuff. I'm gonna turn off some of the soothe. Space control kills a lot. Gold Foss. Oh, we are oversampling on 16. Okay.
I got nothing left.
So there is a backstory to why I did this whole thing. I didn't get paid for it. I wasn't intended, like, I didn't want to get paid for it. The reason I did this, Sophie brought this track a few streams ago for a review, and what it was a really good idea, but poorly executed. And I'm gonna show it to you, so you can hear what it was, and then explain what I've done to make it be what it is. This was the master that they currently submitted to the distributors, and it's gonna come out in 4 or 5 days, 1st of March. So let's quickly listen to the intro to the part the chorus comes in.
I got nothing left to lose. Broken and torn, but now I choose. Nothing can hurt me anymore. My head is heavy and heart is sore. These true cannot paint me like before. So ready to wait, let's just agree, do what I wanna.
So you can hear the core idea is there. Vocal is very quiet, definitely not a master level in terms of loudness. And when the chorus comes in, you don't feel any energy being added. It's just like static mix. Anyway, she sent me the stems. The producer sent me the stems, and you can see the audio bits. Like these guys are the stems of the beat with changes that I made, and then I had to kind of redo the drums. And this is what we have right now.
These two cannot play me like before. So ready to weep, let's just agree. Do what I wanna. Keep it low key, you don't know me, cause I don't need drama. So let them know that.
The first thing that needed changing as soon as I've heard it was, okay, your kick and 808 are not hitting the way kick and 808 should hit. And I tried to use their stem to make it better and still use theirs, but because of the way that they choose, like the sounds they chose for the kick and 808 didn't just do it justice, man. It was weak and they didn't work together. So like that was the kick, and this is right now going through my mastering chain, so it was like that. The kick was changed to this. A lot more punch and power, and I did my 808 but let's start from here and quickly break down how I do my low-end mix, and then we move on to full-on drum bass, and then we can go from there. My kick is going to number 1 kick. Literally nothing on the inserts. No compression, no EQ in this particular case, and in most cases. Because I chose the kick that I believe has everything I needed. If it doesn't, I'm gonna search more, search for 2 hours, but I'm gonna find something that has 90% and above what I want, so I don't have to go regenerate shit and waste my time that way and waste processing power. The kick is being sidechained obviously to the 808. This is the 808 channel. Here we have plenty. First, we have a EQ for the sidechain. 2 dynamic bands, 1 only for the middle and 1 just on stereo. And every time the kick hits, if you watch, these 2 frequencies duck. Which is the same technique I showed you for the vocal and 2-track on TDR Nova. You can do the same shit for this. Then I'm beat crushing. I just wanted the beat crush sound, but I'm mixing about 20%. Without it, you're not gonna hear a huge difference, but you're gonna lose the fuzz. Now that little very high-endy, top-endy fuzz is what you hear on smaller speakers. But I'm only, as I said, mixing about 20% or less. 12% actually. Then I'm going into R bass, very quietly using it. I'm not pushing it because it starts on -9 and it's just loud, too much. I put it on 54 because this particular 808 needed more sub rather than harmonics. I had the harmonics, the fuzz, the saturation, whatever you want to call it. I wanted more sub. But bear in mind that whatever frequency you set on R bass, it produces from there and above. So if you put it on 200 Hertz, it starts producing harmonics from 200 upward. So it starts from 50 Hertz, which is the fundamental sub-level frequencies. I pulled the intensity down and I gain compensated a little bit. So without R bass, let's put it off from here. Without this, when I'm explaining something, guys, it's hard for me to wait. Let me read the comments because you're gonna get mad. But I have to explain something and show you something or read comments. Can't do both at the same time. How do you balance out the levels of the kick and 808? We're gonna get to that, bro. We're gonna get to that, don't worry. So without R bass, with R bass, just a lot fuller, much fuller on the low end of the sub frequencies for the 808. Then I'm doing a tiny move of multiband compression, just controlling the very low end. So whatever I added on R bass, I'm just make sure that right after it we're controlling it. It's not adding too much. Look at it, like a couple of dB. You're not gonna be able to hear the difference for this as much, especially if you're on earphones and phones. So I'm not gonna do A and B. Then I'm going into saturation, black box. This is my go-to, but so many different plugins you can use. I turned up the saturation by quite a bit. Turned down the third harmonic, pentadode. This is the even, and this is the odd. So saturation is the even, I believe. Oh, I forgot which one was which. Pentadode was even, and this one was odd. Whatever. This is how I usually set it up. My saturation is around 2 p.m. 2 o'clock, and the other one's around 10, more or less. And then you compensate. If you lost volume, you add it. If you gain volume, you take away and trim it down. And lastly, after everything we've done, we did one layer of sidechain at the very start, 2 dynamic bands on the EQ for the fundamental frequencies of the kick, narrow bands, and only 3 dB or less. After all the processing, I went to Soothe, and we're doing a proper sidechain with everything that we added, and you can see how it works. By the way, the visual is delayed because my buffer length is at 2048, so we can handle the project. But literally every time the kick hits, Soothe just rounds everything up, and this makes a huge difference. I'm gonna bypass it. With it. Just tidied up the room. I could hear the whoom and the thump that I didn't want every time the kick hit with the 808, but with this, it's gone. Another thing you can see, if we go on the master channel and play this, just the kick and the 808, we're hitting just under 0, right? If I take Soothe and my other sidechain off and play it, actually, look at the threshold of Pro L2. We're gaining about 2 dB of headroom because of that. About 2 dB of headroom because of the sidechain. It's gonna be hard for me to prove it right now, like number-wise, because there is so much else happening before it on the buses, the clipping and everything. But I know that's what happened, so I'm just saying one of the main purposes of this whole cleaning up process is the headroom. Broski, what does this? Pro Tools? No, of course it's not Pro Tools, bro. It's FL Studio. What would be an equivalent to R-Bass? Free equivalent? Oh, I can't think of a free one. But you got the SSL subgen that does similar stuff. You got one in Plugin Alliance. What was the name of that one now? If I remember, I'll tell you. But right now, off the top of my head, I only remember the SSL subgen. I think there should be a free one too. If anyone knows a free one, free alternative to R-Bass, drop it in the chat. Okay, where were we? We just finished the 808 chain. And the question you asked, Kylan, was that how do you balance the level of kick and 808? All right. Let's take off our vocals and melodic bass, so we only hear the drums and the bass. Yeah, we're having some problem. Something I need to take off. So let's take this one off. Okay. I always do low end first, low end and drum first, and then everything else. So I don't start making my vocal sounding pretty, and then thinking about, oh, I'm gonna put this around the vocal. No, I make everything else that's around the vocal working well, and then put that shit on top, right? And first thing I start doing, as soon as my kick, snare or clap and 808 are hitting nice before all the clipping and everything. So if I just take my mastering bus off, take my limiters off, and clippers off, this is what it sounds like. Look, we're hitting above 0 right now, yeah? When I'm doing the mix, I make sure that they're hitting about -3. The drums and the 808, I want them about -3. After I start pushing for level, but -3 is my personal goal of my drums and 808. From there, I put everything around them. I make sure my snare is hitting up top, my kick is hitting hard up top, 808 is just below them, hi-hats is in and around them. And then if I add the melodic bus, let me bring in the mastering chain and everything else. What you hear is, if I play this again and take off the melodic bus, you don't feel the energy of the beats dropping. Melodic bus is bringing the vibe, the energy is all in the drums and it's all in the bass. So I'm just gonna bring it in and out, see if you can feel the energy drop. I got my energy from my drum and bass, then I don't need my melody to be so high and up top that bothers the vocal and everything. The second layer of energy and story comes with the vocal. The melody set the vibe, that's why I always tuck it back. In this case, on the chorus, we have, I think, a couple elements. It's not too busy. It's this guy. Actually, that's the vocals, wait. Let me find this, a little bit of a mess. It's one element. And this is a very quiet layer of this. This is their 808. I made their 808 super nasty, by the way. What channel is it? 18. Distorted / delay 808. So I made it super nasty and filtered the hell out of it. And it's just a layer of nasty 808 on top of my one that I'm using for power. But the melody is just one, quiet. What have we done to it though? I don't think I've done much. Only one EQ. I filtered the low end. Didn't need any. We had plenty. And I filtered it aggressively because it's a flute sound. It didn't have any important material down there for me to want to preserve it. So that was that for the chorus. A lot of the melodic stuff is happening in the intro here. Now this is the part that I had to change a lot. So I'm going to try to explain a little bit. We had a layer of this guy, which is like a respace, synth bass, very low. What I did, I just controlled the low mids of this one because I knew we have a filtered piano sound, which I believe is this. Actually, it sounds like this. So if I wanted this piano, which is also a very low mid heavy, to come through, I needed to carve some space for it in my respace. That's what I did. The dynamic band, cutting that part, which is the prominent part. You can see I just filtered the piano around here with a subtle boost, and it just sits on top of it. So we got the sub to the low mids, just the mid-range filled now. The layer on top is the harmony of vocals, this. Again, I'm controlling the low mids to cut for the piano, but I'm not cutting it off. It's still there, just less. And it had a lot of bright material, and I went ahead and added some saturation to it on top as well, okay? Just to make it a bit more gritty. So now we have a bit more of the top end, and to cap it all off, I added a texture that wasn't in the original beat. That sounds like this on its own. And this is for the very, very top. Stereo widened using the pre-computed effects. I believe I've done it. I'm not sure why it's here, but maybe I consolidated or something. But it's just a texture loop, and together they give you this. Which is a very full sounding intro. And then slowly, as we go to the second section, I pitch down a couple elements. I open the filter on my piano, and we start to sound like this. Took out the bass. Still doesn't work, bro. The song is finished. It works well for me. I'm not sure what doesn't work for you, but the moment the vocal comes in is here where we pitch down.
I got nothing left to lose. Broken and torn, but now I choose.
Bro, Hydra, I see the comments, but honestly, it's hard for me to keep on explaining something that's technical and also read and answer comments in between. I'm sorry, but I just can't. I'm trying to read as much as possible and explain the best I can. What did you say on YouTube? Can you do minimal house bass? Well, we need to finish this one, and then we can move to psytrance. I don't have any minimal house, but I can talk about some psytrance mixing, which is similar. Anyway, you asking about vocals? I was given a bunch of different vocal sounds. I will try to play so you can hear what there were. This is one.
I got nothing left to lose. Broken and torn, but now I choose.
This is baked into the sound, so this is the way it came to me. I don't have anything on it. Number 28, empty. I didn't add shit, right? There was a very, like, full-on dry vocal.
I got nothing left to lose.
Actually, no, I have stuff on this. Wait, now it's dry.
I got nothing left to lose. Broken and torn, but now I choose.
And I was given one that sounded like this.
I got nothing left to lose. Broken and torn, but now I choose.
It had a good tone to it, and it was working well. This is what I heard when I heard the song the first time. And I was like, okay, do I go and try to recreate a vocal tone that the artist already like, or am I gonna keep what she has and make it better? I did the second one. I kept what she had and made it better. Really subtly. EQ. Made sure my filter is in a good place. Let's go one by one. It's only 3 plugins, so I can show you quick.
I got nothing left to lose. Broken and torn, but now I choose.
So we're just controlling the low mids a little bit, filtering the lows, and I did a little bit of a high subtle cut as well. It had too much that I didn't want for this particular. It didn't have the vibe of a bright vocal. I wanted it to be like this. And I added a de-esser, the one I showed you before, 75% mixed in, found the frequency, that was causing the most problem, and then into a leveling compressor, LA2A by Universal Audio, and it's doing, I think, 3-4 dB
I got nothing left to lose.
on the loudest bits.
Broken and torn, but now I choose. So ready to wait, let's just agree, do what I wanna.
Actually, it's not doing 3 or 4 dB. I was thinking about something else. This is just controlling the picks. And I think towards the end, maybe it goes to 3 dB, but there is a very loud pick at the end. I try to control the gain, so you can see on the vocal itself, like this first line has 1.4 dB of trim, this one has 0.3, 1.2, and then the hook has more. So I leveled it before it goes into my processing, so my compressor doesn't have to do crazy stuff. And then the lead vocal insert chain, that was it. It goes into the vocal bus. Vocal bus has soothe on it to control the harshness. It has SSL Fusion Violet EQ just for the very top end. And I again take out a little bit of 90 Hz that we didn't have, but just like a shelf. And I added 1 dB of 20 Hz, 20k Hertz. RXD click, it was full of clicks and shit. You can see, like, in the little bit that we played, it captured 191 clicks. And then I clipped it. But the clipping is something else. We need to talk about it in depth. So that was the vocal. In this particular case, I didn't have to do crazy vocal chains because it sounded good the way it came to me. So I just controlled it and made it better. We put that... by the way, I want to show you something. I'm going to take the melodic stuff off, play the drums, bass, and the vocals in the chorus.
At least you cannot play me like before. So ready to wait, let's just agree, do what I wanna. Keep it low key, you don't know me, cause I don't need drama. So let them know.
Okay, I need to address this. So give me one moment, guys. Bro, why the hell would I not want you in my lives? Instead, why don't you think about it this way? That this guy is live on 3 platforms at the same time, has a project open and trying to explain the mix. He's trying to keep up with his thoughts, with the chat, and also do something that's useful for you guys. So if he misses out, it's nothing personal against anyone. It's just the fact that I'm one person. Like, what sort of a CPU do you think I have? Just bear with me. Let me finish one thing. Start doing something. Like, we all agreed we're gonna open this project before you joined, bro. And then you joined in between something that I was already answering other people. I have nothing against you. I swear. I don't... What would it gain me? What was I saying? Yeah, so the chorus without the melodic part still as huge. No drop of energy.
Play me like before. So ready to wait, let's just agree, do what I wanna.
You bring in the vibe.
You don't know me, cause I don't need drama. So let them know that I'm my biggest fan. It's all part of the plan, all part of the plan. I don't need her.
Right. So what I'm trying to say is that you guys... I'm saying this based on all the music reviews that we've done. Of all kind of genres and all levels of artists. You guys, especially the ones who... You just do vocals and you bought the beat, you found the beat, whatever. The producer who made the beat obviously is trying to provide you with a vibe and make the beat sound good, right? So he puts the melody a little bit higher than it should be. What I'm trying to show you is that when the vocal comes and you have the energy in your drums and bass and you have the energy of the vocal, you simply have to compromise the energy of your melody. And a lot of the energy is volume. The louder you hear something, the more energy it gives you. The quieter it is, the further back in depth it goes, the less energy it provides, and it doesn't get in the way. So think about that when you're trying to mix your own stuff and you have access to stems, that your melody doesn't necessarily have to be the main fucking thing, especially when there is other stuff that are doing important things. So compromise and pick a winner, pick two winners sometimes, but one of them have to back down. Another thing that you might be interested in is couple subtle things that you can do that a lot of people don't do while mixing. So this beat, the way it was and the way the original track is, if you listen to this master again quickly right before the chorus, you see how it goes like right into the chorus, nothing extraordinary or just something that prepares you. Listen again. It just builds up, and the moment you expect it to go to the chorus, it goes. I was like, okay, the idea, everything is good. What we need to do is to prepare them. And sometimes preparing them is as simple as taking shit off silence. I make my build-up happen before one bar, less than a bar, half a bar before the chorus hits. We have silence, bang into the chorus, and that little moment of silence gives me that smacking boost of energy when everything comes in for the first time.
Nothing can hurt me anymore. My head is heavy and heart is sore. These you cannot play me like before. So ready to wait, let's just agree, do whatever.
If I put this guy back in like that,
nothing can hurt me anymore. My head is heavy and heart is sore. At least you cannot play me like before. So ready to win.
Now that sounds very common and ordinary. So think about how can you add something, add a feeling without adding an element. See, instead you can take shit away. And I do that so often. You can layer and layer for days, but then when it comes to the important decision-making moment, a lot of the times, taking stuff away does so much more for you than adding. Other important things that might be cool is these guys. Just for a transition before the second one, so listen to it in context.
So let him know that I'm my biggest fan. It's all part of the plan, all part of the plan. I don't need her, I don't need him, I am all good.
It just helps the song flow. But there is a layer of vocals that sounds like this under the main thing. Here's the chain for that if you're interested. This was the original vocal. The same thing. We add, in this case, I added a manipulator on the Octavius preset, blended in 78%. And then I added decapitator with punish mode. Really nasty, so like without decapitator. With decapitator. Now it's not the low mid heavy anymore, it's high mid heavy. Then to clean it up, EQ comes in, I take away the low mids. This is the 808 realm. Here right there is where my 808 lives and the low mid of my main vocal. I don't need shit like that bothering my 808 and the low mid of my vocal, especially on the vocal layer. So just a cleaning EQ, and that with the vocal gives you this.
So ready to wait, let's just agree, do what I wanna. Keep it low key, you don't know me, cause I don't need drama. So let him know that I'm.
And the reason I added that is because in the verse, the vocal is on its own, and I just wanted something to be added to the vocal in terms of boost of energy in the chorus. And the second time it comes is also in the second chorus. I think that's pretty much the very basics of everything that happened. Hi-hats. Hi-hats in terms of levels, I think in the original mix it was somewhere here.
So ready to wait, let's just agree, do what I wanna.
And now it's here.
Keep it low key, you don't know me, cause I don't need drama. So let him know that I'm my biggest fan.
What happens with hi-hat, I usually do this with trap. I have Panman, but there is Panomatic, Fruity Panomatic, that's free in FL Studio, and Pancake, that's also free, does the same shit, but it's an auto panner, right? I put it on 1/16th note rhythm or 1/8, depending on the song, and you can see, like, just subtly the width is about 20%, 30%. It just jumps with the on the beat left and right, so it's not directly in the middle where everything else is. And I enjoy doing that. I don't do it too aggressively with the width. And yeah, it works out for me. So that was the hi-hat. Let's quickly have a look at the mastering. Sorry, the bus processing, and quickly the mastering, and then we can move on to the next project and all the questions you have in the chat. That was the whole point of this stream, to answer questions. But I know that in me talking about everything that you see on the screen, a lot of your questions are getting answered, hopefully. I showed you the bus processing of the vocals, minus the clipping, which is pretty much the same for all three. But on the melodic bus, I have a SSL style compressor. Let's watch what it's doing.
So ready to wait, let's just agree, do what I wanna. Keep it low.
On the chorus, it literally just touches the needle. On the intro, where we have more melodic stuff, 1 dB. The ratio is on 2. The release is on auto because we have different types of instruments coming and going in sections. And the attack is on 10, so I'm preserving as much as possible, as much transience as possible. But again, this is not at all for like compression purposes. This is just for glue purposes. That's why it's a SSL style compressor, and that's why it's just 1 dB or less on my melodic bus. On the bass bus, we only have a clipper, standard clip. Recently became my go-to. I start with a preset, I believe, yeah, soft clip plus 2 dB. Then I adjust whether I want some saturation, oversampling, and everything that comes with it. And then drum bus, standard clip, same shit. Volcano. Volcano is just for the second part. Here I filter my drums, listen.
Him, I am all good if I got me. Don't even fear, you're still here. Cause life is a blessing, so take it from me. You just do what you gotta do, even with the pain inside you. Keep
that underwater effect that you hear in Bad Bunny and so many other tracks. And that was the whole bus processing for this particular thing. Oh, I forgot 2 important things in melodic bus, by the way. Because I turned it off, I thought I'm not using it, but I turned it off for CPU save right now. On melodic bus, I have Soothe. Synth mid cleanup preset, I adjusted maybe a tiny bit, and it's 80% mixed in. This just helps me a lot with getting rid of resonance. So that's that, and then it goes into track spacer, and I'm doing the technique that I said before. Every time the vocal comes in, watch what happens to these guys.
Him, I am all good if I got me. Don't even fear, you're still here. Cause life is a blessing, so take it from me. You just do what you gotta do, even with the pain inside you. Keep pushing.
But because I had access to everything else, like its stems and all the sounds, and I did clean up a lot, and I was thinking about where my vocal is gonna sit, so I made my decisions on the melodic stuff with that in mind. This is only doing 5% amount, 6% apparently, and just those little bits that the vocal and the sound, the flute sound or other sounds are getting in the way, just push them down that little bit. By the way, I'm afraid of answering anything in the chat because you guys think I answer someone, but I once again looked to the left and I saw that he says, damn, I really want that track spacer plugin. You don't have to have this. It literally does the same shit as TDR Nova, and I showed you how to set it up. Quickly, mastering, and then I'm gonna read everything in the chat. I start my chain with GoFuzz. You can hate on it as much as you want. I like what it does, and I only use it in my opinion, subtly. 16%, between 10 to 16% tame, depending on the project, and about 5 to 10% of recover. And it gives me that dynamic control, dynamic frequency control throughout the track. So when we are in the quieter section in the verses, when I don't have my kick and drums, it gives me that little bit more bass push. And when we move on to the chorus, it takes away a little bit. So like they're more, if it feels like as if we're moving forward and they have something to do with each other. That's the purpose of Go Fuzz for me. And then it goes to, I don't always have this on, but in this song I wanted the vibe of a tape, and this is the one I use. Every time I show you this tape plugin, I have to mention this, and I'm gonna do it again. First of all, I'm gonna play it, look at the input knob, look how low it is, and look how low my needle is hitting.
He's true, can I play me like before? So ready to wait, let's just agree, do what I wanna, keep it low key.
Rarely do you want to abuse tape plugins like that on mastering. You can abuse it for creative purposes all you want, and go ahead and abuse it on master, but I'm just saying I always use it rarely. The second thing about this plugin, click on settings, bottom left side, the noise reduction is by default on -24, which adds noise. Drag that all the way down if you don't want any noise. Wow and flutter, I use it 25%, which is the default. Bass alignment is the key. By default is on 0, and it adds sub. It adds bass. I don't know exactly what it does and what's the process behind the hood, but I know it adds something I don't like. So I always, when I do it like -2.5 to -3 dB, I get rid of that extra shit it adds. That's not what I'm after from this plugin. I'm after that little bit of a tape saturation. That's it. And then the go-to, always on my mastering chain, Vertigo VMS3 by Plugin Alliance. This adds quite a shit ton. I'm gonna turn it on and off. Listen. Off.
Can I play me like before? So ready to wait, let's just agree, do what I wanna, keep it low key, you don't know me, cause I don't need drama. So
Without.
I know that I'm my biggest fan. It's all part of the plan.
Let's actually move on to the second chorus, because there's some cool shit happening here. I forget to play. This, for me, is key. This is the main tone shaper of my master bus. And I set it up in a way that I have the second harmonic and the third harmonic blended in to taste. Then it's SPL EQ, which is my recent go-to mastering EQ. It's accurate, and it gives me a lot of options. How much, like, if I turn it on and off, you probably won't hear as much of a difference, but we're gonna try it.
To follow, so ready to wait, let's just agree, do what I wanna, keep it low key, you don't know me, cause I don't need drama. So let them know that I'm my biggest fan. It's all part of the plan, all part of the plan.
It's very subtle, but I took a little bit of nasty boxiness, like 1 dB of boxiness, off about 540. But like me explaining the moves I've done on this EQ means nothing. Like, it's not gonna add anything to you, because literally every single one is gonna be different for your case. So I'm not gonna explain the moves. I'm just showing you the chain and giving you the reasoning behind why I did shit. I always add, not always, but a lot of times I put my the highest band on 24K, which is the highest it goes. It's a frequency that humans can't hear, but as you know, it's called the air band. And I put it on the widest possible, add around 1 to 2 dB, and turn on this blue button, which makes the 1 to 2 dB half a dB. And it's just a subtle boost like that, well, this way. Something like that, if you put it on a graphic EQ, and it just lifts the top. I'm actually not using the mono maker here, because I believe I used it on the next one. But yeah, the rest of the EQ moves, nothing that would add anything specific to your process. Next is the Shadow Hill compressor, Class A by Plugin Alliance again. Look at the needle.
I'd love to follow. So ready to wait, let's just agree, do what I wanna. Keep it low key, you don't know me, cause I don't need drama. So that
Literally nothing. I guess twice in the whole track, maybe it touches the needle a little bit. I'm gonna now turn it on and off. You listen and see if you can hear the difference. Without it,
I'd love to follow. So ready to wait, let's
With
just
it.
agree, do what I wanna. Keep it low key, you don't know me, cause I don't need drama. So let them know that I'm up.
1 centimeter forward. Like it adds that little bit of warmness. I don't know what the hell. It's just the way it is. And you have 3 options for the circuits of this whole thing. The steel, iron and nickel. This time iron sounded good. We stuck with that. Then as soon as I turn on space control, we're gonna have clicks and bits and bobs. So I'm not gonna turn it on. I'm just gonna show you what I did. This is a very heavy processing plugin, by the way. I started with a preset, I believe. Not sure which one, or does it show me? It doesn't show me what I used, but if we look at the processing that's happening, it's similar to the Ozone 11 I showed you guys. It's basically the lowest band, which is below 160, is on 50% width. So I reduced the width towards mono. The second band from 160 to 1K is on 98, which is basically untouched. The second and the third and the fourth band, the third and the fourth band are adding the width. 113, which is 13%, and 150, which is 51%. And then I'm blending it in. Look at the dry and wet to the left-hand side. A little bit on this, a little bit on that. That was it, and it adds a subtle width. I'm gonna try turning it on, but I know it's gonna pop and click. Yeah. Lastly, or second to last, Ozone 11 Maximizer. As I said, IRC4 Modern for me. This time I'm not soft clipping because I did my clipping on the buses. I'm not transient emphasis. It just didn't sound right for this one. Even though most of the time I do use transient emphasis, about 10%. I pushed 1.5 dB. Let's watch what Ozone's doing.
I'd love to follow. So ready to wait.
2.5, 3 dB. So literally catching the peaks of kicks and snares.
Some part of the plan.
Then lastly, into FabFilter Pro L2, transparent. Channel linking is off for the transients. 1.7 dB of push. Ceiling on 0.5. I know you can't see, but I'm telling you, minus 0.5. And let's see how much of reduction we're getting on this. So we got 3 dB on that one. Oh shit.
I'd love to follow. So ready to wait. Let's just agree, do what I wanna. Keep it low key, you don't know me, cause I don't need.
So a total of 4.5. Let's go even higher. Let's say 5 dB of limiting, spread it across 2 limiters. And let's check our short-term LUFS in the loudest part of the track. Then quickly, I'm going to show you a comparison with the loud tracks of out there on Spotify, and we move on.
I'd love to follow. So ready to wait. Let's just agree, do what I wanna. Keep it low key, you don't know me, cause I don't need drama. So let them know that I'm my biggest fan.
Okay, we'll be hitting -7, literally 7 on the loudest bit, short term. Let's play Monaco and put it on chorus.
Bebiendo mucha champaña, nunca estamos secos. Están hablando.
So ready to wait, let's just agree. Do what I wanna. Keep it low key, you don't know me.
The style is obviously different. The type of the 808, the type of the low end is different. But level-wise, I'm not saying we're louder. I'm saying we're just equal or a little bit quieter. We're there. It's enough. For this track, I could push it louder. I don't see the point. It sounds good. The moment we come from the part before, so let's quickly hear this.
Time isn't earned, just borrowed.
Pay attention to how we go from this section to the hook.
My life to follow, to follow, to follow. So ready to.
My computer fucked up, man. Never mind. But I hope you found something useful about this whole project. Let's close this so I can open a fresh project and read all the stuff in the chat so you guys don't get mad at me. I really don't want to disrespect anyone's questions or anything. I'm just trying to answer the main question of the stream, which was open the project and show us your process. This was the process for that one. And I forgot I'm gonna get copyright on YouTube, and I played Monaco for like 2 seconds. Anyway, let's read the chat. Well, thank you, Hydra, for understanding. Now you can say that I got offended. Sorry, bro, but if you get offended like this, I don't think I can help you. I do all this for literally no gain, no personal gain. No one's paying me money. No one's forcing me to do it. I come and sit down and try to show you stuff that no one asked me, and yet you get offended. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. What's the next question? By the way, let me know how many likes we have on the YouTube side. We actually passed 10k likes. I promised that when we get to 10k likes, I listen to 2 tracks from the chat. So here's what we're gonna do. TikTok, from 1 to 10, actually from 1 to 20, including 1 and 20. I'm thinking of 2 numbers. The 2 people that gets it the fastest, you can send me your tracks. And only please guess if you have a track to send. Go. Kylan, you got the first one. Send yours over, Kylan. We have another one. If anyone wants to, if there is no tracks in the chat, no problems. I just promised, so I'm keeping my promise. But if no one has a track that wants to send, I'm good. We can carry on with showing you different stuff and answering your questions. Can you show your EQ style between sub bass and bass layer? In this particular track that I opened, bro, and showed you, there was only one 808 bass layer, so that was the whole thing. It had the sub, it had the top, everything. But if I open my Psytrance project, we can definitely look at the different layers. Mest, you can send yours too, bro, if you want. Why don't you put MIDI into VAV? I do put MIDI into VAV, but it depends on what project it is. Depends on whether I think I want to commit to this particular sound. A lot of sounds I quickly commit. Sometimes I think that maybe I want to change it, so I don't. It depends, but definitely something you should do. Especially if you have a weaker computer. Thankfully, my computer it can handle quite a lot under pressure. Kylan, are you sending it to Discord, bro? Is that you? Who's that? No, you sent it to my email. We're gonna listen to one of Kylan's tracks, as promised, and then I'm gonna try to give my best feedback in terms of mixing and stuff, and then we move on to your questions.
You don't speak my language. That's okay, baby. I'm not ordinary faces. Don't you know I'm different? I spent some time complaining, hoping that would change it. I'm not ordinary faces. I know that I'm different. This is original. I got that original love straight from above. This is original love. I got that original love straight from above.
For newbies, Logic or FL, I would go FL.
What's real anymore? Everybody wants to imitate it. Everybody wants. Can't feel anymore. Everything's computer generated. I'm not trying to keep up with the latest trends. I don't want the fake, I want genuine. We are
Sounds
not
pretty
the
good.
same, I'm made different. I always win. You don't speak my
I think again you've done a really good job on your vocals. The beat is not far. I would just go about the sound selection of the kick and bass differently, but it's a matter of taste.
language. That's okay, baby. I'm not
Spieler.
face it. Don't you know I'm different? I spent some time complaining, hoping that would change it. I'm not ordinary faces. I know that I'm different. This is original. I got that original love straight from above.
This is mastered. Is it loud enough? Well, is it fair if I play my master against yours so you can compare and the chat can vote? I'm gonna play this one that we just broke down and not like crazy EDM stuff. So let's put my chorus
So let them know that I'm my biggest fan. It's all part of the plan.
against.
Original love straight from above. Separate the real.
This doesn't mean that you should go and get it to as loud or similar to mine. It means that you should go and check against the tracks that you are referencing for your style, your inspirations, and see how loud are they going. Because yours has more of an R&B feel, mine has more of a trap feel, trap and pop, and they're usually louder and more pushed. So I'm not saying that you shouldn't, I'm just saying that you shouldn't necessarily go and try to push to get it to my level of loudness. But the track sounds good. I like the idea. Your voice is always well mixed, which is a great sign. We didn't have anybody else sending track. We had another one from MusicGat from YouTube side. So let's do that one and move on. Oh, before I listen to this, just so that we know our next move, in the chat I give the decision to you. I can read one by one questions and answer that, or I can open a psytrance project that I've done, so we can have, like, we've done the trap one, and then we can have an EDM one for the EDM people, and explain that. Just in the chat, let me know if you want. Answer questions, open psytrance, pick.
Power Ranger Red. Power Ranger Red, someone turn me up and slime. Yeah. Power Ranger Red, someone turn me up in slime mode. This girl sending lopes, AT, we got the drop on. Like a goddamn silence, quickly through the back door. Been on his ass with a drop this whole auto. Put me in the elevator, eating cheese nachos. Dark Vader to these bitches, yeah, they call me Papo. Keep it real, I love the shit, you could call me Rambo. Got a quarter keys, but I keep all the locks though. Menace is a fucking jit, giving none to a bitch. Roll racks on the hits, lots of them I'm celibate. Top of spin, fucking flames, wipe me down like, oh wait. No ever some escape, pay 15 for his tape. Oh.
I've heard this track like 4 times, bro, on streams, and I know that this time you mastered it, or at least trying to get louder and master it. I think the track has potential. I think it still has problem in the mix that needs to be taken care of a bit better before you push. But Depending on what you're trying to practice, because you wrote you're working on mastering, I understand. It sounds better than the last time I've heard it. Oshai, bro, this particular stream, for anyone's in the stream on any platform, this particular one is not for music reviews. I only played a couple because I promised that when we reach the like goal on the stream, I'm gonna play a couple. But this one is mainly for questions. We're gonna have a music review stream, maybe tomorrow night, maybe in a couple of nights, but there will be a dedicated one for that. So please just come back for that. Go to the link in description or link in bio. Join the Discord server so you can get announced and know when what's happening. That's the only place I can keep in touch with you guys. And we have like 200 people or so, just less than 200 on Discord. And you can be in touch with everyone. What's your Discord? Link in bio, bro. That's the easiest way because there is an invite link at the bottom. Just scroll down. Alright, what are 808s and why does everyone say that Kanye made it big or something? Let me show you exactly why it's called 808. What is it? And I'm gonna share as much as I know about 808s real quick.
Oh shit.
There is this synthesizer called Roland TR-808. It looks like this, right? Look. These sounds, this sort of you've probably heard this snare like a million times, or this kick. And the 808 itself is sampled out of this synthesizer. Right? And all these type of 808 sounds that you hear, 808 kicks, snare, hat, clap, toms, this comes out of this synthesizer. The reason they say Kanye made it big, I actually don't know. I never researched into it. But the sound itself comes from this, and then you have a clean 808 that's just like a pure sub out of the circuits of Roland TR-808. I believe I have a very clean one to show you what it sounds like. You're not going to hear it if you're on phones, but on headphones. So this is a raw-ass 808. Really clean with a little bit of attack. If you throw it into the project and zoom in, you see that it's like a very pure sine wave decaying out. So that's the origins of 808. And then people saturate this and clip it and do weird things like this. You get shit like that out of it. Obviously, you can do a lot more. Whatever you do this to this raw 808 becomes a new 808 sample. What was the next question? Can you show or explain how to correctly sidechain kicks and 808s? Yes, I'm gonna do it one more time for the new guys, real quick. I have it routed in my template, so I'm gonna just reverse engineer this for you to see. You have a kick channel, which is number 1 for me. We have a 808 channel, which is number 5. From your kick channel, you send the sidechain to your 808 channel so that the information of the kick signal gets sent to the 808. In FL Studio, you either right-click and sidechain to this track, or you hold Shift and left-click, which is the same shit. On the 808, then you have multiple ways and possibilities of sidechaining. Some people do it with compressors. Some people do it with Fruity Peak Controller, which is volume. Some people do it like me with dynamic EQ. Some people do it with Soothe, which is a more sophisticated dynamic EQ. Whatever way you want to do it, you need to first go to that plugin, click on the wrench icon, go to the second tab, processing, and route the sidechain in FL Studio. When that's done, that particular plugin is receiving the sidechain information from your kick or whatever you sidechained. Then, in my case, with dynamic EQ, I create a band on the fundamental frequency of my kick, again, usually 50 to 60 hertz. Right click on the band, make it dynamic, drag it down, not the band itself. The band itself remains on 0. You drag down the dynamic part, which is the threshold, and you make it as narrow or wide as you want. I just moved the wrong thing. I usually have it neither too wide or too narrow, something like that. And every time the kick hits, this frequency ducks. Or every time the kick hits, the volume of your 808 ducks. Or the compressor kicks in, whatever. The concept is that your kick comes in and you want to make space for it. How you want to do it, if you want to do it two ways at the same time, which is what I do sometimes, I do a little bit of this and a little bit of soothe or a little bit of volume, it's up to you. I recommend that you don't do it with a compressor. My reasoning is because when you do it with a compressor, every time the kick hits, the whole 808 gets ducked. You can of course change that and do it with multiband compressor, which again is similar to this. So if you're gonna compress using a multiband, why not just do it with a dynamic EQ? Is more precise. But a combination of dynamic EQ sidechain and a little bit of volume, a couple dBs of volume every time the kick hits for the length of the kick. So let me quickly pull up a kick. Oh, this is not the one. No, I want the... Where's the Faro packs? There we go. Okay, so say this is our kick. Put it down here. You see this kick on this particular tempo 130, the main chunk of it, the main body of it is like this long. If you want to estimate it, it's this long. So you want the 808, which let's say is this. You want the 808 to kind of be less prominent for this amount of time, which is red, and then start to come in after. Something like that. Right? This is like the more manual way. Can the Roland shut up for a sec? I turned you off. Why are you still playing? Right now, they're not sidechain. They're not even going to a channel. But simply because I took the 808, faded it off the important part of the kick, they don't clash as much. If I put it back, can you hear like go pa? It kind of explodes. That's the whole idea of sidechaining. If you have the ass for it, go one by one and do this. This is what Jason Joshua does, but not with the fade. He literally creates a automation for the 808 volume, like a trim knob, and every time the kick hits, he ducks it 2 dB. That's what he says. 2 dB, and that's his sidechain. Okay, let's go back up a little bit and read some questions. Are you using TikTok Studio to show your screen? Yes. First OBS, and OBS is feeding TikTok Live Studio. I answered that. We shouldn't clip the 808. Definitely do it, by all means. I did it on the example I showed you before. Why do you think you shouldn't? Is Fruity Limiter a good sidechain plugin for this? It's the only one I never use. It's the most common one, but I think that if you do it, like if you want to do it with stock plugins, do it with Fruity Peak Controller. So you do it with volume. Fruity Limiter is not a nice sounding fucking compressor. The limiter is decent, but the compressor is not good sounding. The other option you have in FL Studio is actually no, not in FL Studio. The other option you have free is TDR Nova. I keep telling people this. It literally is the same shit as FabFilter Pro Q3, but free. And just for you to see how it looks like, this is TDR Nova. All you have to do, search in Google TDR Nova. It comes right at the top. Download it, use it, hassle-free. What's the next question? Can you explain how Ken Carson's song Lose It has such a distorted beat, but his vocals are clear? I haven't heard it, but let me quickly play it in the background, and I'm gonna mute it for you guys. because I'm gonna get copyright. TikTok can hear it, but YouTube can't. Okay, so YouTube, just bear with me 2 secs while I listen to this example. If you want to play it for yourself, so you know what we're talking about, you can do that. Ken Carson, Lose It. Nasty. Yeah, the reason, like, the question is why he has such a distorted beat and his vocals are clear. It's because they didn't put the distortion on his vocals. They mix his vocals as if you mix any other hip hop vocal, but they mix the beat as if a kid has diarrhea and also clipped his shit while coming out. That's the best way I can put it. There is nothing extraordinary about it. Doesn't sound good either. Bro, why do people do this? This is nasty. I'm sorry. I just can't. Sounds horrible. Ugh. Anyway. What's next? Always when you clip the 808, the sound change and it sounds weird because you're not using the clipper right. I'm not sure what you're using, but if you're using a Fruity soft clipper, let me just send this 808 to the right channel and put Fruity soft clipper on it. I never use soft clipper myself. To be fair, I use something else for my clipping. But you have a threshold and you have post. Post is the level. So look. It's literally like a volume level, but post clipping, not before. Threshold is the level where the clipper starts to kick in, just like the compressor explanation of threshold. So the higher you put it, you kind of bring the threshold to a desired level, and then you control the post so you don't lose volume or gain volume. Literally like that. It's not doing much, but another option for clipping is here. You turn on clip and you push boost. Now that's clipping. This is what they done on that Ken Carson's track, look. It's that easy, guys. And it sounds nasty. Not in a good way. Oh wait, sorry, I forgot to unmute the YouTube side. This is what I'm talking about, YouTube. Oh, you meant the 808 parameters when you boost it? What parameters do you boost? Another 808 question. Are you supposed to cut the highs to make the sound mono? No. It has nothing to do with stereo or mono. Your question, like, if you cut the highs on the 808, this is our 808. Well, let's make it less nasty. This is our 808. Let's put it twice. And if I cut the highs, it has nothing to do with the stereo or mono. It just cuts the high frequencies off, which will make it less audible on smaller systems. Whether you want to cut the highs and then add a layer of a different type of 808 or bass sound, that's a whole different question and concept, which is fine if you do it right and don't get phase issues. But usually you don't want to cut the high end of the 808. Instead, you want to add harmonics using a saturation so it can be heard on smaller systems. 808 is always mono? Not always. Look, I have a sub channel and a top channel in my template, and what I do is I literally duplicate my 808 like this and I make it unique, right? and I send one to number 5, which is 808 sub, the other one to 808 top, number 6, and on number 1, I put this shit on 300, so I high cut my 808 sub, and I put my 808 top exactly on 320 or 300, the other way around. I cut the lows, and then I had add the PS22, which is a stereo widener, and now listen to the 808. If I take it off the PS22, now it's mono. Now it's the lows are mono, but you hear the mid-range and above wider, and that's how you create the wide sounding bass. I put the kick so you can hear the kick is fully mono and the 808 is wide. If I take it off, it depends what you want. Sometimes I go for a wider 808, sometimes I go full on mono. The key is that you don't widen the very low end. Like, you can still get away with widening to about 200 if you do it right. But as soon as you start to widen your 100 and below, you're just asking for trouble. It's it still can be done, but you're asking for trouble. Should I put everything on mono below 100? I go towards mono. So like there is 100% mono, and there is just making the width a bit less. So it's like 70% mono, 50% mono. Again, genre to genre, song to song, sound to sound differs. That's a truth. Like, if I say anything other than that, I'm lying to you and I'm trying to mislead you. That's not the point. Show me a mixed FLP. We actually went through a full-on track about half an hour ago, because the live is reaching exactly 2 hours. And the guys chose that I do the rest like this, answering questions, which is what I'm doing. Is that a load-bearing wall behind you? No, but this place is not optimum for mixing in with any stretch of the imagination. Nothing that you see is supposed to be this way in an ideal mixing room. This is my home, and here is my living room, that's my bedroom, this is the kitchen, right? I mix here with my speakers and headphones, and I know my speakers in this room because I listen to a lot of music and I worked for a year and a half here now. I just know whether it's lying to me and whether this amount of bass I have in this room, in this speaker, is enough or not. So yeah, the room is not ideally treated or treated at all. I just can't because of my living situation, but it's all about knowing your gear and your room and being able to realize this is a lie, this is the truth, this is how far I am from the top level. This live will be available on YouTube. Yes, sir. You can watch it back on my YouTube. You have any videos of you breaking down a mixed FLP? No. Actually, this question was asked, and I said no. It's something I'm considering to do because it takes a little bit it takes time and I'm looking for a good track to do that with that a lot of people can benefit from, because I can do it on a psytrance track, which has a lot of elements, but most of you want to hear it on a good trap song with vocals or a pop song, and I don't have anything that's necessarily worthy yet. So if I find a track that I can do a good tutorial on, I will definitely do it. I will check my email in a few minutes and maybe play a couple tracks AA, but let me just read a few more questions. Any tips for producers that make and mix their own music, songs with vocals? Yeah, to be honest, like when you see the question off the top of my head, it's hard to say the right things, but because I do similar stuff, I don't rap myself as much or sing, but I do record people and make the beat and mix and master everything after it. I would say pay a lot more attention to your sound selection while producing so that you have a lot less headache while mixing. And same thing goes with recording vocals. If you spend the time and get the right take with the right sound during the recording, you're gonna have a lot less headache fixing shit that should have been done right in the first place in the mix. And that's true for beat makers, that's true for any sort of producer of any genre or any artist. Spend time fixing the source. I know you probably heard that so many times from other people. It's true. Some shit's just true. Another thing that you hear often, but is also true. You're not gonna understand how well or how shit you're doing compared to your competition unless you reference your competition. And don't reference your high school buddy or college roommates, people around you who are also learning. Reference the very best. The very best of your genre, of your type of music. Put your songs against them and don't lie to yourself. Be honest. No one's judging you. It's you judging you. So there is no embarrassment. If it sounds far off, tell yourself it sounds far off and then start working towards fixing one by one the issues to get yourself closer. That's how I did it. That's how I learned most of everything that I know. I lacked in certain area compared to the very best that I wanted to reach and be like. So I spent time watching, doing until I got closer. And now I feel close enough that you bring any type of music, I can listen to it and be like, oh, he's done this and that to achieve this and that. So I can go and do the same shit and come close. Welcome back, Spider. Sorry, guys. Let me read the YouTube side. Is that... Oh, I read that one. Can you listen to Dream by Nafs and give reviews? By Nafas? Maybe in a bit. Because I was thinking that the live duration is... I'm going to do 2 hours. And now we literally gone past 2 hours. So I'm going to stay for another half an hour. Till midnight. Till half past midnight. And... before that, I'm going to listen to a couple more tracks and then we can wrap it up. Vocal mixing tutorial on 100% stock plugins. Guys, I've already made you a FL Studio full-on stock plugin. Actually, there is one free plugin, but a vocal chain. There it is. And I shared it with you. This is how I would get started if I had to only mix with vocal with FL Studio stock plugins. The only thing that's not stock is Fresh Air, which is free. And get it, guys. I know you have a lot of problems with iLike and this and that. It's a good plugin. It's if you don't abuse it, it's a very good plugin. But yeah, this vocal chain you can download from my link in bio. FL Studio freebies. Stock vocal chain. It's also available in my free recording template in the same place. So, quickly, it's just an EQ with a starting point that looks like this. This is not the end-all and be-all that works for everything, just a starting point. De-esser using Maximus, because we don't have a stock de-esser apart from this. Fruity limiter for a little bit of compression, even though it's not my go-to choice. Blood overdrive for a little bit of saturation. Fresh Air, top-end EQ and saturation. And vintage chorus, turn it off if you don't like it. It's adding a little bit of width. I can't download that Fresh Air. Why? Why can't you, bro? It should be available to everyone for free. How to DS vocals with stock plugins. I literally just showed you. You have a couple of options. The first option in FL Studio is to open Maximus presets, and at the very top you have 2 de-esser presets that you can start with and tweak. The second option is Patcher. Open Patcher on a mixer track, click on presets, and there was a de-esser. Here we go. Intelligent de-esser and Intelligent de-esser Lite. Open any and you get a little bit more control. at least simpler controls. And if you go to map, you will see that it's a combination of EQ, maximus, and EQ and compression to give you the same shit. You can choose the frequency, the smoothness, the range, which is the amount, the sensitivity, which is the threshold. These are your two options of de-essing in with stock plugins. What speakers do you recommend for mixing? What's your budget, bro? Speakers can go up to 50,000 per speaker, not even a pair. What's your budget? Did I miss something? How I apply FL Studio skins. If you are on FL Studio 21 and above, all you have to do is to go to options, theme settings, and pick whatever the hell you want. Easy as that. And you can adjust the parameters. If you're below 21, then I used to do it. I don't remember now off the top of my head. I'm sorry. Am I supposed to put reverb on the lead vocal chain within the mix? I strongly recommend that you don't do it directly on the insert. So let's say this number 8 in yellow is our vocal. And you've done your EQ, your compression, your saturation, whatever you want to do to the vocal. And now it's time for reverb or delay. These stuff that you see on the right hand side, the pink channels, are for that. Independently, each of them doing something else. You send your vocal to whatever you want. Let me quickly demonstrate it as well and tell you exactly why you want to do that on a vocal sample that's dry. Dry chorus. Is that the one? Yeah. Right, so this is the vocal. Let's send it to the number 8 channel.
I wear 1,000 scars.
Dry as fuck, right? So what you do, I want to add a little bit of plate reverb. I send it to my Valhalla plate.
I wear 1,000 scars.
I want a little bit of 8th delay.
I wear 1,000 scars.
I want a sidechain reverb and delay.
I wear 1,000 scars. Cover them up so you.
The reason you do that is because of all the control you get. So if I want my plate reverb to all of a sudden be distorted, right? For no reason, or even worse, like put a phaser on my reverb, okay? I just do it on the reverb. It has nothing to do with the vocal, but the reverb now, that plate reverb, has phaser.
I wear 1,000 scars.
Which made it very quiet. Let's send more.
I wear 1,000 scars. Cover them up
so your weird moves and creative decisions doesn't affect the original vocal. It just affects that particular effect. And everything else that comes with it. What did we miss in the chat? Can we hear some more tracks? You mean my tracks or the chat's tracks? What's the best plugin for vocal chop samples? I would say Output Arcade gives you a lot of good vocals that you can use for chops. That's my go-to. If there is any other suggestions, drop it in the chat, because this one's subjective. Am I supposed to hear the reverb on a vocal within a mix? I know where this question is coming from, because a lot of people say like as soon as you pause, you shouldn't really hear the reverb for a long time. It's not a bad thing to say. It's not wrong at all, and I think depending on the genre, so like if you mix an EDM vocal that's supposed to be drowned in reverb, there is no fucking way you can achieve that. But there is a way that you can get that huge reverb to not mask the original vocal and also not ruin the mix. That's what you're supposed to do. Even with for smaller reverbs and pop music and rap music, for rap music, a lot of people use chamber reverbs instead of plates and halls. Chambers are darker by nature, and the decay should be timed preferably to your BPM. And there is a website for that. Wait. It's called Reverb Calculator. And then you go in, you put the BPM of your track, let's say 130, and it tells you the optimal decay time for different bar values. So for a 1/4 note, your decay time is 457 milliseconds. For for a half a note, that, and so on. Same with the delay. So if you want to go really dial in the perfect delay with milliseconds, it tells you exactly what's the value for the given BPM. Great website, and it's free. Do you use any wave plugins, multivitamin, MV? I do. Sometimes. I use waves less and less these days. So what I'm trying to say is that because as a content creator, I get access to a lot of plugins. I already have subscriptions that you see, like the list is huge. And because it's like that, I try to try different things, and in the process of trying things, you end up liking a couple new ones over the old ones, so you move on. And some of them I don't move on. I've been using them for years. But with Waves itself is like 500, 600 plugins. And because they've been around for such a long time, I'm using them less and less. It doesn't mean they're bad or outdated. It's just my little pet peeve or whatever. Which one is good for lead vocals for melodic trap beats? Is it Big Room? Lead vocals for melodic trap beats? Oh, you mean reverb? I never come to the project and be like, oh, a plate would sound great. As you can see in my template, I have Valhalla Vintage on one channel, which gives me options of chambers and gated and halls and plates. And then I have a Valhalla Plate, which is plates. And then I have a Mani Verb, which is again varied, but set up on chamber in my template. And I have a Massive Hall, a Cathedral. When I'm starting mixing the track, I send the vocal to different reverbs, sometimes to a combination of a chamber and plate. Whichever sounds the best in the moment, I go from there. And honestly, that's the right way of doing things. It's not ones and zeros what we do. It's a creative process. And you've heard that a million times too. So you never know. You open a rap track, 90% of people might use a chamber, but 1 second you drop a plate on it and it sounds great. Are you going to change it? If you do, you're dumb. Just keep it. If it sounds good, keep it. Can you suggest some guides for beginners where to start? What do you want to do, my man? Do you want to make beats? Do you want to make EDM tracks? Or are you in DJ? I need to know a bit more so I can give you at least a better perspective towards where to start. Let me see if I got... How many tracks have we got from you guys? We got Elevated Vibes. Oh, Shy that I said I'm gonna play his. Let's play one track and then answer a few. Drop your questions while we listen to this, and then after that I'm gonna answer some more. We have 15 minutes left of the stream, guys.
Yeah. Baby, крутит, она знает, кто здесь так. Baby, крутит, она знает, кто здесь так. Ван 2024, Ван 2024. Окей. Бэби крутит, она знает, кто здесь. Так. Он бежал так быстро, но его догнал мой кулак. Нахуй блант, я курю сейчас вакс. Я продолжаю ебать это, я иду круг-тонг.
I like the balance of the mix, the drums, vocals and melodies.
Прихожу на район, они все выглядят так же напуганы. Ты нацепил на себя эти бренды и выглядишь будто бы пугало. Бэби, я в этом дерьме, keep it real. Они знают мое имя, Вайн, пиво, Дим. К счастью, сука, не пущу судом.
The only thing that I would say could be a little bit better right off the bat is the 808 is super subby and low, so I'm sure if you guys are watching on phone or even smaller earphones, you're not gonna hear that much of the bass. It's there, you're just not gonna hear it as much. Saturation is key for this type of situations. Saturate the 808, then you want to clip it a little bit, you can, and everything will be right up there, because the rest, the vocal sounds pretty good. Your kick is right.
Тихо буду alone, yeah. Но я факую бу, я факую хоу, yeah. Жду, пока эта шалава натравит на меня своих новых ёбари, yeah. Но навряд ли они захотят со мной биф. Ну прости, мы не знали, но мы же как, ну вот она сказала там. Бэби крутит, она знает, кто здесь. Так, он бежал так быстро.
Guys, just to clear it out again, I know some of you are joining, but this is not a music review, not this one. I do music reviews for 3 hours. We listen to 60 tracks, 70 tracks of yours, and please keep your stuff for that. The purpose of each stream is clear. This one was Q&A. We've done 2 hours plus, and I want this video to end up on my YouTube channel, and people who go back to that YouTube channel, to that YouTube video, they can see what it says on the title, right? So I hope you understand. Next time when we do music reviews, I'm all happy to listen to all your tracks. That's the purpose. We have a couple questions on Insta. One actually. Any EQ suggestion for EQing big room leads? No, because I don't know how, like, when you talk about a certain element within the production that I haven't heard, if I give you an EQ suggestion, you should leave my live and never come back. Honestly, if anyone gives you advice on some EQ advice on something they haven't heard, you should leave. I would just say, make sure it doesn't clash with your bass. That's the thing that you always have to take care of. From then on, it depends on what's the sound, what's the song, and what you're trying to do. Did I miss anything in the chat? I think because it's getting a little bit late, we're losing people, and that's fine because we're about to wrap up. The time I said we're gonna wrap up is about 12 minutes away, so I'm gonna wait another 12 minutes and answer any questions you've got, then we can move on. Ozone for mastering. Yeah, I use the Ozone Imager. I use Ozone Maximizer, which is the limiter. It has a very good dynamic EQ to use. In general, if your question is that can I master my whole shit using Ozone plugins, you can. If you know them well, it will do the job for you. And if you're asking about the AI within Ozone, good starting point. It can put you in the right zone and give you the chain order, and then you can go and tweak one by one to get the desired sound. But yeah, good plugin for sure. How do you use Ozone for vocals? I don't, but you can. You can use the limiter for vocals. You can use the dynamic EQ definitely for vocals. It has tape saturation you can use. What else did we have in Ozone? Stabilizer could come in handy. Vintage EQ is great for adding some vibe if you don't have any other type of EQs that would be good for vocals. But most of the stuff are for mastering, but you can creatively use them on vocals too, especially on vocal bus. You could use the stabilizer or the clarity. That's new, I believe, on vocal buses. In terms of reviewing your song, bro, not on this one. Hopefully next one is going to be music reviews. That's what I said to the rest of the guys. And I don't want to be unfair to anyone, but next time when we have music reviews, for sure. If you want to be notified about when the next live is happening and what's the subject, Discord server is the only place where I announce what's next and what's happening. You can find the link in my link in bio, right at the bottom. It says join MMV Music Discord server. How to sidechain with Soothe? Okay, that's a good question. Let me pull up our 808 and kicks again. There they are. So, just like this is my kick, my 808. Kick is number 1. As I said, you send the sidechain signal. We talked about that already. This is the 808. Let's stick a Soothe instead of Pro Q3. You will still need to go to the wrench icon, second tab, processing, and route the sidechain first. Then it's as simple as turning on this little on and off button under sidechain. Here, if you can't see it, I'm just turning my mouse around it. When it's on, for the kick and 808 scenario, this is how I set it up. I put the one band to the lowest and the other one to around 150 or 100, like that. And then I put the attack on fastest, release on fastest, and I change soft to hard if it's on soft. Now if you turn it on, it's not doing much, but if you turn up the depth, the more you turn up the depth, the more ducking you're gonna get. Then you can blend in the mix knob if you want, and you can also listen to what's being taken away if you click on delta. So you just hear whoop, like the kick obviously is coming through, but the whoop out of the bass is what's getting cut off. Just like that. So without it, with it. Much cleaner. Pleasure, bro. What's the best DAW for recording, for mixing? I would say Pro Tools. For production, Logic Pro X, FL Studio, and Ableton, very capable. Cubase should not be forgotten, but it's not the most mainstream DAW for producers. Most people either use Ableton, FL Studio, or Logic. Pro Tools for mixing and recording. Cubase is perfect for media composers. And of course you can make beats and all type of music in Cubase. It's just that it's not as mainstream. BandLab, for sure. What's up, Tycho? We're reaching the end of this stream, about 7 minutes. So if there is any final things I can help you with, not reviewing tracks, but questions, I'm here to answer 7 more minutes. What do you mean, what about, bro? What about what? What is the best DAW to record vocals? I really enjoy recording vocals in Logic and in Pro Tools. But as of FL Studio 21, FL is not the most horrible place to record vocals anymore. It used to be really poor. Much better now. Still, if I have access to Pro Tools or Logic, I'm gonna use either or. To be fair, in terms of like my ability in Logic or Pro Tools, I'm much better in Logic. So I'm like 100% in FL Studio, 80% in Logic, and 50% in Pro Tools. So depends where are you the fastest. Where can you get from A to B the quickest? That's the right choice for you. Why is Pro Tools much better than FL for recording? My personal reason or reasons, first thing is that in terms of setting up a keyboard shortcut and workflow, it's much more flexible. In terms of editing audio, the tools you have to edit audio on the spot, stock wise, is much more flexible. And perhaps the most important thing, the feature that FL needs to add, playlisting, and not the playlist you have in FL. Playlisting is in a way that you have one vocal track. So imagine you created this track number 8, you recorded your vocal, blah 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 blah, and then you kind of right click. There's a shortcut for it too, but you right click on it in Pro Tools and you create a playlist. So then you drag that shit down into the playlist, which is your takes, and then you quickly, like with 3 buttons, pause, playlist, record. My man says it again, pause, playlist, record, again and again and again, and you take like 5, 6, 10 different takes of the same line or phrase in a matter of a minute, and then you have them all available. And then when you start to comp vocals, which is the process of taking the best parts and the best takes out of a recording session, they call it comping. When you start to comp vocals, it's a much cleaner, more organized process. You have every line, or I like this line of this one, but that line of that one, you just stitch them together in Pro Tools, and you can do it in Logic too. Still, this particular technique is easier in Pro Tools even than Logic. Studio One is best for the vocal. Studio One is such an underrated DAW. I'm not gonna lie. It's just because it came out a little bit late into the game. It's not as commonly used, but it's the closest we have to Logic on Windows, and it's a very capable DAW. When you punch in vocals, can you instantly have the takes, have the plugins on them? Yeah, so let me show you one last thing before we wrap up tonight. I created a recording template for artists, which is free, you can download. I'm going to just show you why I did this and why it has to do with the question you asked. Oh, this is not the right version. Wait. Open the wrong one. Recording template, there we go. This is the one.
Oh shit.
Here we go again. Right. This is the recording template. It comes like this when you open it. And as you can see, we have a beat channel. This is where your beat goes. Then we have a recording channel, and you have these buttons under it. You record everything on this channel, and as soon as you're done, if it's a verse, you drag it down to one of the verses. If it's a hook, you drag it down to the hook. If it's a bridge, whatever, you drag it down to the according place. Here's the catch though. On the recording channel, there is this vocal chain. This vocal chain is stuck. It's the same vocal chain I showed you before, the stock one I made for you guys you can download. So while you're recording, you hear yourself sounding decent, better than dry. But this doesn't get recorded into the stem because it's on external input only by default. So you hear your voice good, but it gets recorded raw. As soon as you drag it down to any of the other channels, those channels, each of them, are going into the vocal bus. The vocal bus has the same vocal chain as the recording channel on it. So what you keep hearing while you're recording and what you hear after you drag it down into the different channels is the same shit. And you can change it with your own vocal chain, of course. Doesn't have to be this. But this is the method. You route it in the playlist, you right click, you go to track mode, you route it as an audio track to whatever mixer slot that you want, and then it has these 3 buttons under it. So immediately it's sent to that track. How can you download? Link in bio, my man said it. If you don't know what I'm talking about when I say link in bio, by the way, guys. Literally, if we go to my TikTok, right? This is not TikTok. So my TikTok profile, there's a link under it, beacons.ai/mmvmusic. You go into that, blah blah. FL Studio freebies, FL recording template, and whatever else that you might need. Anything that you want from my videos. All the links from my videos are here too. And Discord is right at the bottom here, MMV Music Discord server. So that's what I mean by link in bio. When I use delay, should I put them at the sidechain bus or another way? If you mean how to, like if you mean you should sidechain your delay or not, if you do it on the lead vocal, it's a good idea to do it. But I sometimes create another dedicated track and copy my vocals and only put the words that I want to delay on that track, and then I add the delay to that track, so only that particular word gets delayed. But if you do it directly onto the whole vocal track using a send, then sidechaining it is a good idea, so it doesn't get in the way when you don't want it. How to gain... Oh shit, that's a big subject, bro. How to gain stage properly. We were supposed to wrap up like 2 minutes ago. I'm just trying to find a way to give you a pointer instead of just leaving you hanging, and also not explain for 2 hours about gain staging. The fastest way I can tell you is this. What if your drums, your main kick, snare, and hi-hat, and bass, whether it's 808 or any other type of bass, these 4 main elements, the energy of your track, is hitting in a way that a combination of them all reaches minus 3 dB. Okay? I'm not saying this is the proper way, because there is no proper way of gain staging, right? I'm not blurting out stuff. I'm just giving you a quick perspective. You go and research more. What if all this stuff hits minus 3 dB? Your kick, snare are sitting on top, your 808 just a level below the kick, and your hi-hat is probably around the same levels as 808, but you know where the hi-hat should sit. It shouldn't be above snare, it shouldn't be too much lower, it should be somewhere in and around the snare. If you get that drums and 808, drums and bass hitting minus 3 dB and working well together, everything else around it will be much easier to make decisions about. It gets significantly harder to gain stage when you start gain staging from your vocals or piano. Especially if you have drums and bass. Build your rhythm, build your low end, your energy of your track, which is your drums and bass, and put everything around them. Those are the loudest. Those are your main transients, right? Your kick, every time it comes in, is heavy as hell. Same with your snare and 808 these days. So get those hitting the loudest that you want. Minus 3 dB is a good starting point, or minus 6, up to you. And from there, bring everything up around them, because you have a solid foundation of your track. Okay, I hope you guys take something away from this 2.5 hour long question and answer stream. We talked about a lot of subjects. We broke down a mix and a master. And yeah, if you want to watch it back, if you missed some points that you want to go and see it back, go to my YouTube channel and this will be live there, full thing for you to watch and scroll through. I appreciate you guys, your questions and your time. And hopefully you guys appreciated mine too, because we had a bad reaction today that, I'm not gonna lie, really upset me. From a close guy to me as well. I didn't expect him to behave that way. I'm not sure what to say even. But yeah, have a good day, good night, depending on where you are. And next stream is gonna be a music review. Discord server, if you want to be announced. Do not miss out on it. Catch you later, guys.
So when you are breathing out, you get the sensation that your breath is falling out. Dropping out. The same sort of feeling you have as if you were settling down into an extremely comfortable bed. Just get as heavy as possible and let yourself go. don't worry about the future. Just be entirely content to be aware of what is.